Welcome to another video. Today's video I'm gonna start laying out everything to install the fuel injection controls for the Coyote and the Challenger. Stay tuned. I'm gonna start with this box here. This is the Holley Terminator X Max. That's the part number that I'm using. Huge shout out to Holley for sending us the Terminator X Max so we can control the Coyote with the 4R70W. So I'm gonna start getting this out of the box, laying everything out, see how it's gonna lay out in the car, and really start installing all the wiring harness and everything. I do have a few things that I still have to order to really finish it, but that's going to take quite a bit of time just to kind of lay out everything where I want it and, you know, put the wiring in the right spots. I do want to make it look decently nice, but also convenient because, you know, in the future, I am going to replace all the metal here. So we're looking at a new firewall on this car, fender aprons. I did the floorboard and all that because I didn't want to do that much structural, although the firewall is quite a bit. But so floorboards don't have to come out, but I am gonna do all the metal pretty much around. I mean, it does need it. So I'm thinking the Terminator X is gonna live right in here, passenger compartment. I think this area would be a nice area to mount it here to the side. Maybe I'll make a wood template just kind of for now. That way I can see how I can mount the computer and everything. I know on Fox bodies you can mount it underneath the seat. I just don't think with all the water that can get in here through there. I don't think you'll make it here, but I think I want it at least to be up and down where if water kind of hits it, it's just gonna kind of drip on top of it. Because the computer, it is made to be in the engine compartment. So I can put it in the engine compartment, you know, you probably don't want to submerge it in water, but you can kind of power wash your engine. You just don't want to sit there and hit it. So I think if it's here, if it hits it a little bit, you know, a little bit of water gets on it, it will be fine. But that's where I want to put it. So I'm going to see, make sure all the wiring and everything reaches. I believe the smaller box here is the pedal because it is going to be drive-by-wire. And then, so I need to also start figuring out where I'm going to mount that pedal. And the bad thing is I might have to pull my seat, which is up there, just so I can maybe fix the mounting bolts and mount the driver's seat. Because I know I mentioned in my previous video, I thought the brake pedal was too low, so I made it higher, but now looking at it, I think that's too high. Most of the time brake pedals are a little bit lower, so I don't want to put the, you know, gas pedal somewhere and then once I put the seat, I'm like, wait, that doesn't work. So all those things are going to be happening now. First things first though, I'm going to get the that box, open it up, and then start looking at everything and see where I can start. All right, got the box open. So this is the pedal. I mean, it looks like I could just mount it right to the firewall, but I am gonna have to kind of, like I said, look and see if I need to make a bracket to make it, you know, kind of stand out a little bit, or if I mount it to the firewall, if it's good. You know, I'll have to figure that out, but no big deal. I opened these other boxes. So this one has a bunch of wiring, all the harnesses looks like. So I have to go through all that. And then these I think have kind of like the computers and stuff. You know, there's the little screen here. Whatever this is. This is control module, so this is probably the main computer. This is the actually variable valve timing controller, so that's that. So I'm gonna start going through the harnesses just to see, you know, where each little thing is gonna lay out, just because there's a lot of wiring. You know, engine looks pretty clean up to now, but I'm gonna try to make this look as clean as I can. So the other thing I did wanna do is also see if I can put power to the dash, because I know here on the Challenger there's this block kind of that goes all the way through, and I can see this is for the wipers. I'm pretty sure I left this wire here because this used to go to the positive of the alternator, and I think this pretty much supplies power to inside of the car. So I'm gonna try that. I can get the battery or whatever. I'm gonna put power to here, and then just to see if like the lights work and all that. Once I find that out, I think I'm gonna get rid of that block, because nothing else is really gonna stay from the car other than the lights, which I can just keep that specific harness, or maybe just connect it to the inside without that block. Wipers, and that's pretty much it. Rear tail lights. So that's pretty much what it's gonna stay. And I want to make sure that cable is spliced like in 5 different places. They're in 2 feet, so it's not like that wiring is any good anyways. And then if I eventually do get like a heater and all that for this car, I am gonna go with classic auto air like I did on my 67, which they do sell a kit for this car that comes with the AC and everything in one unit underneath, like I did in the Mustang. So in the future, that's what I'll do for heater and AC. I'm not gonna spend money to just get the heater going when, you know, I'll probably end up changing it. And that kit's a little expensive, so that's why I don't want to spend money twice. But everything should go through this hole here in the firewall, so I'll try to keep the harness as clean as I can. Where it's covered with the cover goes through the firewall. I do have the main power there, but that's really all you'll see. You know, I'm trying not to have a bunch of wires just go all around. Mostly the engine will be underneath the cover, and then they'll come out to wherever they need to go. And then underneath the tranny. But it does look like a lot of wiring, so I'll have to sort everything out, and then I'll show you guys once I have it all laid out in the car. Okay, so I'm doing the harnesses here for the Holley Terminator X, and so I made this template out of cardboard. This is kind of the shape that the plate that I think I'm gonna make is gonna be. So I'm thinking I'll probably bolt this kind of like in this area, maybe lower, we'll see. I do have this harness goes to the gas pedal, which is over here. And this wire goes to a brake light switch, which is going to be over there. The other end of this, I still have to run it up, but that's going to go to the throttle body. I made a hole right up here. Oh, my light's way over there. So, let's see this. No, not really. Anyways, I made a hole on the firewall over there to run the transmission harness through. And so that's what I was working on. This is the harness here. And so everything, I already run it under there. Everything looks good so far. The only thing is, as I go, especially like the transmission harness, I really don't want to crawl under there and kind of regroup with it or redo it. So one thing I'm gonna do is I put a zip tie while I was down there, because these two connectors are right next to each other. So this one goes to the range sensor, this one goes, I believe it's like a speed sensor, that's right there. So this is gonna be right in that area. I'll probably put a little bit of loom here, and then these wires, they pretty much have to run back inside, because according to the instructions, like the violet is for reverse lights, so I can hook that up for my reverse lights to work, because that range sensor, you know, tells you when it's in reverse. The white one, it's like a starter solenoid, a neutral safety switch, so I can also do that one. If you have four-wheel drive, you know, you would use that one. I'm not going to use that one. And then this one is ground side of LED indicator, light blue, which is actually the ones on this side, which is, this is on the other side what hooks up to the Holley EFI, so this is okay. But the white and purple is for the starter solenoid, neutral safety, and reverse lights. Technically, I mean, they have to go to the cabin regardless. So they're already capped off and blocked off, so I don't want to, like, I could cut them shorter and cap them off the same way they did. Maybe the black and white, which is this one's here, you know, those are two that I will not use, so I might just cap them here, cut them, shrink wrap them, same as they did here. But these other ones I do have to run inside, so what I'm gonna do is kind of I'm not gonna take off what they already done with the harness because it's really nice. This one's also for a pressure sensor. It's an extra wiring which I'm not gonna use at the moment, and so this one I could just, you know, I'm gonna fold it back and put it together with the harness. That way it goes inside of the vehicle. I don't want it dangling down there. So this one's going back. Pretty much these are gonna go back. And then this one's here stay together. So I'm just gonna wrap these. Possibly put a little bit more shrink tubing or wire loom on here just to kind of keep them together. You know, keep these together. And put it back in there and then hook it up, so that way at least underneath here it's all hooked up. I don't want the wires to be all loose, you know, just kind of one harness all together. So that's what I'm doing now. I'll give you an update once I install this part, but I'm gonna do the same thing pretty much with every harness. I'll ran it and then just, you know, try to tie it up, you know, zip tie it together, just that way it's not like a big old, you know, bunch of different wires. Like all these would be all separate, but I could kind of just put them together down there, make it a little bit cleaner. If I ever need to do something, I know, well, you know what, I can just pull this whole harness out and then check it out outside the car. So I'm doing that now, and then we'll keep on checking. Okay, so I went ahead and just got this all together here. I did cut the two black and white wires around this area and then just shrink tube them. Put it all kind of all as one harness. So now it's gonna go down the hole that I did here by the firewall. About, you know, here it's gonna go down the transmission here on the passenger side. This is gonna plug in the main connector, and then this goes over the transmission to the driver's side, and these connect on the other side. This is that one sensor for pressure, which I'm gonna kind of keep it together, but this is gonna be inside. So once I figure out everything inside, I'll finish that. And then I put these wires inside of this loom all the way here, and I just left them sticking out right there, just that way whatever I need to connect inside, and then I can later finish wrapping it or whatever I need to do. So I'm gonna run this under the car again, put it into the hole, connect everything, and that's gonna be for the transmission. As far as underneath, then I can move into one of the main harness on the engine. All right, so got the fuel injection harness, coil driver harness, everything plugged in on the back of the Coyote here. So you have one of your camshaft sensors, your crank, coolant temperature. Same with this, the main harness here, it's kind of like the transmission harness. So this, well, this is for the oil pressure, this is fuel pressure. This one is going to be for the master flow sensor, but it also has this other connector if you want to put like a air intake temperature sensor, which is not going to be used if we're doing the regular master flow sensor. It also comes with another 2 harnesses, and you saw in the time lapse I actually zip tie them and put them back in there because it does have connectors in case you're going to use a cable throttle body. So you have a connector for the TPS and for the auto air control valve. It also has connectors for like a map sensor, GM style, I think, map sensor, all that stuff, and also an MAT sensor. So I'm not gonna use that. So I just, you know, routed the harness backwards and zip tied it for now. Eventually I'm going to go ahead and probably put loom over it again so it looks like one big harness. I can technically, you know, now that I kind of know where I want everything, I can unplug everything like I did the transmission, which I probably will, and then just wrap it really nice here before I connect it to the main computer. I could go to the extent of undoing the loom here that they did, and then all those plugs that I'm not going to use, take those wires, you know, just run them out all the way to the main connector back there and maybe just splice or, you know, shrink tube them. But I'm not going to do that now. Like, for example, this plug here, I could, you know, undo this tape, the loom, and just take those 2 wires all the way out of the whole harness, and they'll make it cleaner, thinner. But at this moment, I don't want to do that. At least for the engine part, like the transmission, same thing. I didn't use one of those. I can take it out. But if something changes in the future, if I change throttle body or whatever, I think one of those connectors is if you go power adder, like supercharger, you want to add like a sensor. And I don't want to take it all out and then later trying to splice it back in. So for now, I'm just going to, you know, loop it back in here. So I don't... on a video, I saw that they just throw those harnesses underneath the intake, but I don't want water or anything to get in there, so I'm putting them inside of the cab. I'm gonna wrap everything and then leave it for now. Later on, I might do that. This one here, I'm not gonna tidy it all up right now because I do have to order my master flow sensor, the intake, see where the harness needs to be, fuel pressure sensor, see where it has to be, and then how far I can pull it back, and then wrap it all together nicely like the transmission. So as of today, I can't do that because I need a few more pieces just to make sure I have everything. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So this is actually the, looks like coil draw harness here, so I just got to plug that in. Overall, everything fits pretty nicely in here. You know, the engine cover is going to cover all those harnesses, so you're not really going to see too much. I'm going to run the variable valve timing harness now, which is going to run same thing on top. Really, the only thing you're going to see is those wires coming out to these sensors. But that's not too much. So I did take this little, this is like a dampener or a noise suppressor for the injectors, for the fuel rail there. I took this off just so I can unplug them easier. I'm gonna put that on once I'm done. But I think I will wait to put that on because I do have to get those other few things, you know, tied up the harness here, and then I know where to leave it. So those might stay off for right now, but All right, let me get the variable belt timing harness put together, and then the module, which is, I'm planning it to live inside of there as well. Everything looks like it's gonna reach. This is all the old connectors that were on the engine, so they're just where they cut them at the end. This is where it's gonna be a little bit tricky, but not too bad. I have the main harness here, which is gonna plug in actually on this side. And then I do have quite a bit of wiring, so I could have potentially put it, like I mentioned before, here under the seat. But I'm just gonna probably just loop it nicely back here, and then just leave everything here at the end organized. I don't know what this is for yet. Oh yeah, it's the variable belt timing connector, so that's gonna plug in into the other harness, I believe. And then these are the coil drivers, so those have to be connected to those plugs and then mounted, so those will probably be mounted somewhere in here as well. So got a bit of things to figure out here inside just to make it look nicer, but not too bad. I don't want to mount everything against the firewall because eventually I do want heater and things in here, so I don't want to go through mounting it there and then end up having to move it. So I think here on the side will work good. Maybe I'll pick up some diamond plate to cut out and bolt it down there. I could also do kind of like a thinner piece of wood and wrap it in like leather and use that. That'll look kind of nice. So I'll see what I'll do. But and then this is the main connector here, which also just plugs into the Terminator X, and that's gonna go all the way to the back. And so they recommend to bolt that directly to the battery, so I do have enough wire all the way back here. I'm just gonna, you know, put the terminal ends and connect those directly here to the battery. But that's not gonna be done until everything is all done. And then I have to connect my fuel pump. I thought there was a control for a fuel pump, so I think one of these wires is gonna be like a trigger, which I'll wire up a relay, and then since the battery's back there, I'll just wire up the relay back there and just that control for the fuel pump back there. So coming along, you know, just a little bit tedious, but I am gonna need quite a bit of different parts to get ordered to get this completed. So as far as the electrical, master flow sensor, engine intake, the fuel pressure sensors, all that stuff. So I have to get that coming, finish that up, and then I can really finish up the harness nicely. And then I do have to put a coolant system in here together, but most of that is pretty much, I have a good idea what I need. I just need a few hoses. I have the radiator, so that should be no problem. So let me get this in here, and then I'll check back, see what it looks like. Okay, so the variable belt timing, pretty simple. Harness just, you know, plugs all the way up here, and it is going to be run underneath here. I just kind of laid it out for now because I am going to pull the other harness. Well, I'm going to zip that together like I mentioned, and then pull it out and just wrap it a little bit, so before I put it back. And I want to keep it separately. Actually, I was thinking about it. The variable belt timing, since it's a whole nother harness, I'm gonna keep it separate from the other one, so I don't want to actually zip tie bolt those together. So that's gonna be it for this video. I gotta quit now. I have a couple things, other things to do, but stay tuned for the next video where we finish up the wiring harness. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you in the next one.